This video, we are going to talk about installing the steering rack because we've already, me and Andrea, my sidekick, we pulled this the old steering rack off first, and I didn't get a video doing that, but I will walk you through how we got that out of there. And you can see that when I installed the engine, I had some damage to the circuitry right where the harness plugs in, and that caused a loss of electric assist steering. So wanted you to see where the actual steering wheel, the shaft, comes through and connects. Essentially just it's squared off on two sides, and there's just a there's a notch in there, so a bolt simply comes in and just locks in and then tightens and pinches. So pretty simple. The steering rack, to get this out, of course, you saw the other videos, you know about the oil pan install, how we had to, lower the subframe and all that. Well, you don't have to lower the subframe to get the steering rack out. I didn't do any of that, but you do need to get the suspension apart. So here's what we had to do to get access, essentially, to get that electric assist steering rack out. And you can see that's the new rack that fits right up in there. And you don't have to drop the subframe. There's actually a bracket that closes this off on this side, and that bracket is for your swing arm, or sway bar, sway bar. And that's your front sway bar. And you see that bracket? It's got a bolt that essentially goes all the way up through here and attaches into the subframe, and then a bolt that comes through with a pin here. Of course, the pin's just for alignment, and that's your hood shock attachment. So you don't have to pull the sway bar out that way. You just have to take that bolt off on the bottom here, and then the one vertical bolt that rides up. Do the same on both sides. And then for the sway bar end links, I recommend that you don't fool with the one that's actually attached to the sway bar, but you take the one out that is attached to the swing arm, so the lower control arm. And that's right here. That's where that actually feeds through. You got to take these little, these air deflectors off. That essentially, that fits up in there. Very, very simple. Just a Torx screw. I think 4 comes off, and you can see they mount there. And that once you get that out of the way, you can get direct access to the sway bar bolt. So getting the sway bar off and getting all of the coolant lines and the fan. And of course, you need to remove the bracket for the ABS unit. That's also in the way. You can probably snake it out of there by leaving the bracket on at the top, attached to the unit. But I've got a new custom built bracket for the ABS unit that is made for when you do Pro Charger installation. So it actually, if you've ever seen a Pro Charger, by default it rubs up against the right up against that ABS assembly, and that's not good, right? It's got you can bend it a little bit, which is what most people do, but I've got a new bracket that will realign that, and it looks nice too. It's a nice, really, actually Vengeance Racing fabricated that bracket, and I didn't have to fabricate it myself or do anything. But getting all of that out of the way. So you want your coolant lines. I've got the 2 lines for the extra radiator or the extra heat exchanger because I have a 17 plus model. I also, if you see that big thick core there, that's the race intercooler for the Pro Charger. So I had to remove the piping for that as well. But I'm swapping to an air to water setup. So all of that's coming off anyway. So wasn't a big deal to pull that off. So again, you need all your harnesses out of the way, all of that stuff. And then once you get that sway bar off and you've got all of this open right through here, what you want is you want your partner to grab this one end of the, you really want two people to do this, because that electric assist system, or steering rack, it's pretty heavy. And it's just not very easy to get this thing in and out with with just two hands. So anyway, you want your partner to grab this side. You do want to jack up the lower control arms there. And that is because when you take the sway bar off, that was holding the control arms up quite a bit with the tension of the sway bar, which keeps these lines, right, for all of your ABS, all your, your sensors, and brake lines and stuff. You don't want them to be taut. You want them to have some slack in there. So jack up your control arms, have a partner come grab this side, and then I would suggest the stronger person on this side, because you've got the motor and the housing and everything, all the gear set. And you bring this side out, right? You take this side, slip it out this way, come down a little bit with it, and then you start snaking it out, right out through that way. And it will drop right out through the bottom of the car. So, again, it's I think the dealers to do these steering racks is a quite expensive job, but you can do it yourself. Again, just pull your suspension off, your upper control arms, your upper A arm here. Take your shock assembly. If you have a Z06 or a Z51, undo your shock harness, because of course they're connected through that little hole up there. There's a harness that runs through there. Very simple, honestly. The shocks come right off, the sway bars, the upper control arms come right off easy. Just drop them down, make sure they're supported when you remove the sway bar. That's all I would recommend. So all your lines, this thing won't drop too far, right, and start breaking or any of those harnesses or lines, because then you're going to be in a world of hurt. But again, this wasn't too bad. I actually thought this sway bar was going to be, this electric assist steering rack was going to be pretty tough. But let me see if I can zoom right up in there. That is where you actually attach it to. Let me get that out of the way. And you can see the bolt hole there. That's where you attach it to the steering wheel, essentially the steering wheel rack and pinion. That's where it comes straight down through the firewall. It's just a shaft that connects to the electric assist unit. And I would recommend, while you have this entire unit loose, go ahead and work that in. Don't wait and do that, right? Go ahead and work that in. So now everything is all placed nicely. And now we just reverse the process by putting the sway bar back on. And then we start putting the shock assembly, we put the shocks on. And then we can, again, feed the shock harness back up through the top, and then attach to the upper A arms. And then we're good to go. We'll have the sway bar back on and a new steering rack in. And then the next video, we'll actually either be doing the air-to-water unit, or I'll actually show you how to hook up, the Pro Charger, the accessory belt in a nice quick way. I've done that so many times. I can give you a few tips there on that. But, anything just to make your day easier. But yeah, this was the last big job we had to do on my car. The pickup tube again was bad, causing oil pressure problems. We've got all that fixed. The steering rack, that was the next final big task, and we actually wrapped that up. And oh yeah, in fact, I forgot about that. The next final thing we're going to do is right up in this fender well here. I totally forgot about that. We removed the air to oil cooler, right? And we're doing that. We're doing a custom oil cooler. So that's going to be a dedicated oil cooler assembly. So we'll either have a video installing the oil cooler, or the air to water, or just doing the Pro Charger install. So anyway, hope this helps. If you ever are curious about how to get a steering rack in, it's not that bad. Feel free to comment or you know, ask questions. I'd be happy to help if you have any questions on how to do this. Okay, and subscribe, like the video if you think this is helpful or could be helpful for you one day, and we'll see you in the next video.